Good morning and welcome to the meeting of the Umatilla County Board of Commissioners. If you please rise, we'll do our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We should probably introduce
For those of you who are regular attenders, our esteemed minutes taker and record keeper is Tierney Dutcher this morning from the Planning Department, sitting in for Melinda Slatt, who is normally in that spot. Melinda's having some medical difficulties and will be with us from time to time. So Tierney, good to have you here. Thank you. I'd like to remind everyone that this meeting is a public meeting. You are being recorded both digitally in picture and on sound. So I would remind anyone who wants to come and speak to the commissioners that they come to the front table, to the microphone, introduce themselves and give their address before they speak, so everyone will know who they are. This morning we're pleased to have some recognition to provide. I'd ask Sheriff Terry Rowan if he'd come forward. These are 4 letters that were issued by the Sheriff's Department, and I think very worthy for everyone to know and for everyone to recognize these individuals. The first is to Senior Deputy Christopher Doherty. Christopher, do you come up? This letter commends you and offers our sincere appreciation for initiating and organizing the Tactical Medical for First Responders training course that was presented by instructors from the Federal Law Enforcement Training Agency on December 11th to the 13th of 2018. Because of your efforts, 72 law enforcement and public safety personnel from 4 divisions of Umatilla County Sheriff's Office, along with personnel from 11 other agencies from around the region, were instructed at this very important training at no cost to their respective agencies. Additionally, you secured grant funds from Good Shepherd Medical Center and St. Anthony Hospital in order to provide the students who attended the training with emergency and tactical medical kits and supplies at no charge to them. So we would congratulate you, Senior Deputy Christopher Doherty, on this great work. Thank you. And if we could have Senior Deputy John Wrights and Deputy Jeff Brown come forward. These gentlemen are being commended today for an incident that occurred in Milton Freewater involving an armed shooter. The man was reportedly armed with a rifle and a pistol and already had expressed volatile behavior by shooting at vehicles and residences in the area. After locating the suspect, the 2 of you discovered that the reporting party, a private citizen, was actively engaged with the suspect and would not obey your commands to disengage. The 2 of you were faced with a difficult situation and were forced to leave the security of cover to engage in a physical altercation with the armed man while keeping the private citizens safe. Your brave and decisive actions involved the successful apprehension of the armed suspect with minimal amount of force, and you were quite possibly saved the life of the citizen, the suspect, yourself, and your fellow deputies. I commend you for your bravery and outstanding performance in this situation. You displayed ability to quickly adapt, overcome adversity, get the job done in the safest manner possible when faced with what appeared to be a nearly impossible situation. And you are very much deserving of this commendation recognition here at this board meeting. We thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you for your work. And one final but not least, Emergency Manager Tom Roberts, would you come forward? This letter is commends. All right, pull that out of this microphone.
I didn't have him say that, by the way.
Commends you for successfully obtaining over $72,000 in grant funds to purchase much-needed emergency equipment that will assist the Umatilla County Sheriff's Office in the mission to protect and serve the citizens of Umatilla County. This includes over $24,000 to purchase a state-of-the-art unmanned aerial system. That's for those who don't speak that high tech. That's a drone, which is equipped with night vision technology, and over $48,000 to purchase a fully equipped Polaris utility task vehicle with a snow track system and an emergency stretcher for transporting injured persons. These devices can be deployed and will be helpful in a wide variety of emergencies, including search and rescue operations, forest fires, major crime investigations, traffic collisions, and other incidents. These tools will undoubtedly help us save lives into the future. Your efforts in securing this equipment and obtaining the grants with which to purchase it, improve the management system for Umatilla County, would I'm stuck on that, Tom. Commend you for this action. John and I will commend you. Yeah, thank you. I will condemn you later. That's Well, what can you say? It's a new chairman up here.
Well, we have Susan Bauer here, and she'll add speech pathology to the professional development program.
There's a new pathology program being offered now, so I think I'll take advantage of it. Sheriff.
And if I could just, again, reiterate some of the fine work that we heard about this morning. This is a sampling of some of the professionalism that our deputies display on a day in and day out basis. And, you know, it would be nice if all of that could be recognized, but at the same time, these deputies are doing this work because they have a passion for what they do. And I just wanted to reiterate that and you know, express my commendation to the individuals recognized today. But again, it's just a sampling of what goes on day in and day out with the deputies out there protecting and serving. And I appreciate the commissioner's recognition of that.
Thank you for bringing them in, because we know basically what they're doing out there, but we don't always get to see them or know who they are. So thank you for that.
Very much. And again, congratulations to all of those who are being commended today.
Good
At
job.
this point, next item on our agenda is the acknowledgement of minutes from previous meetings. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes of October 25, 2018 and November 7th, 2018. Those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Are there any additions to the agenda?
There are two. They are up on the screen, I believe, under 8 and 9. They've been added. One is a grant payable, and the other one is a payable for the jail.
Okay. Do you have a new?
I don't have a new, but they are on the screen.
Okay. I sometimes have a hard time seeing that far.
Okay.
Okay, moving on ahead then.
Bill.
Thank you.
Susan might have a program for that, too.
At meetings of the Board of Commissioners, there's an opportunity for any citizen in the county to come forth and to address the commissioners on issues that might be concerning to them. If you are not on the agenda and you wish to address the commissioners, now would be the time to do that, and I would invite you to the microphone. Is there anyone wishing? Then we'll move on to the business items on our agenda today. Since I skipped ahead there and already did the commendation. The first item on our agenda this morning is a presentation regarding the Schools to Careers program. And Susan Bauer and Christina Vanderkamp from Business Source, Oregon are here, and they operate this program. It's in conjunction with and cooperation of the Umatilla County.
Yes. Good morning, everyone. I am Susan Bauer, and I live at 43783 Buckboard Trail here in Pendleton. And with me is Christina Vanderkamp, also of Pendleton. We are very happy to be circling the wagons, if you will. We have an update for you and a brief overview. Umatilla County has supported the School to Careers program, which provides career-based learning experiences for students for the past 3 years. What started as supporting a program to be built in Pendleton very soon caught on that allowed us in Umatilla County to also provide help to Milton Freewater, Pilot Rock, as well as Athena. In the last 12 months, Christina was asked by the CTE Consortium, Career Technical Education, as well as the IMESD and BEMCC, to do an analysis of what would a regional School to Careers program look like that would not only help across all school districts in Umatilla County, but the possibility of a multi-county effort. Christina has completed that work. As a result, she has been invited to speak across the state more than once about her work, and she's truly become a regional expert. So we circle back with you today because if not for Umatilla County, we would not have been involved with Pendleton to end up where we are now. I also believe that over hundreds of students would not have had the opportunity to learn about career opportunities without your support from the very beginning. We will be involved with this work for one more academic year, and as Christina will soon update, the regional momentum is building, just as we had hoped to help create a program that others might run with. Thank you again for your support, and I'll turn it over to Christina.
Hi, good morning. Thanks so much for the invitation here. And I sprung this presentation on Tierney, and we don't have a clicker, so if you could work with me to kind of click along. So as Susan said, I want to talk briefly today about this topic here, creating a sustainable work-based learning ecology in Eastern Oregon. That is totally fine. Okay. So we've come to talk to the commissioners before about this work, and the core issues have remained the same, really, that brought Susan to this work and then me to this work and others with me. We really feel students need access to more career-related learning experiences to prepare them to be productive members of the future workforce and citizens of Umatilla County, and to help give them confidence to make informed college and career choices. And on the flip side, similar along with that, business and industry is dealing with several factors, and I'm sure that you have heard from businesses in the county that have contributed to difficulty in the creation and retention of a robust regional workforce. And the solution is not rocket science, and I'm sure, and we've presented on this before, we really feel the solution to this is educational stakeholders collaborating with business and industry partners to give students opportunities early and often to explore their options and discover their passions, and also to help businesses create a homegrown future workforce that meets the needs of that business and industry right here in our region. There's a lot of research to say that homegrown workforce are the ones that stay, or the ones that are invested in our communities here. We talk a lot about work-based learning, and I just wanted to review what I mean when I say that. It really encompasses a continuum of activities, everything from when we ask a kindergartner, what do you want to be when you grow up, to helping somebody in high school or in college connect to some technical opportunities for training. So we're talking about career days and spotlight events, classroom presentations, worksite tours, career studies, professionalism training, mentorship meetings, job shadows, internships, and then right on up to jobs that are available for students. So to date, as Susan mentioned, EOBS, Eastern Oregon Business Source, has provided school to careers consulting, first for the Pendleton School District, and then Athena Weston School District, Pilot Rock Milton Freewater, and most recently for BMCC and the Intermountain ESD CTE consortium, resulting in over 200 placements for students in our region, and also touching thousands of others through career days and through spotlight events and other opportunities where they've had the ability to interact with local business and industry in one way or another. I wanted to talk a little bit about the report that Susan mentioned, so the work that we've been doing most recently. These are a couple of the deliverables that were given to us to complete. The first being develop a comprehensive regional work-based learning program proposal for the purposes of cultivating, updating, training, and aligning current and potential business and industry partners and secondary and post-secondary institutions. And also then to present the proposal to regional partners and discuss an implementation plan with stakeholder roles and necessary financial resources to sustain that proposal. And that's where we're at here. And as Susan says, we're coming full circle here, and this is one of our last presentations to go along with this report. The core questions really that guided our work in this: is there value in aligning work-based learning program efforts in our region, so moving outside of our individual school districts and coming together to centralize somehow to do this work together? If so, who should be involved and what would be the most effective way to do that? Shared procedures, some online tools, formal networks or informal networks, shared positions, grants, what type of thing? This next set of images kind of shows very graphically, a picture is worth 1,000 words, about why we feel that aligning this regionally is important. In this work, we researched many other programs in the state that have already sort of looked at this work and have created programs. One in particularly in Central Oregon, they had this issue here, which, you know, you don't have to be able to read it all to understand how messy that was ahead of time. You had a bunch of educational entities from high schools to community colleges and youth corps work programs trying to connect with employers in that region in a bunch of different ways. Just looking at that is fatiguing, and you understand sort of where the issues were there. And then afterwards, they created this program, part of which was called Youth Career Connect, and they put some centralized people in their economic development corporations, in their chambers of commerce, to connect with people specifically at those high schools and people specifically at those employers that could align this work. They kept information on the employers that were participating, information on the high schools and the colleges that were participating, and really streamline and professionalize the process for everybody. That helped a lot with employer fatigue on that side. It helped a lot with students just understanding what was out there. They could now physically look at a list of opportunities and get excited about things that were available in their region rather than kind of hearing about them haphazardly or through other people. So that was, you know, that again showed kind of the core of what our work was doing there. Our findings for that report: we really believe that a broad-based community coalition of public and private stakeholders is needed to sustain this effort. No surprise there. A lead agency, we've noticed in other areas, was really important in guiding the beginning stages of that work. And obviously, the cornerstone of any successful effort is really boots on the ground, the people doing this work and representing the needs of the students, representing the needs of the businesses. It's not a program that we can buy and put in place. It's not a form that we can use that's going to do this. It's really the staff people in place. And in the report, we go a little bit more in depth about, you know, really how many staff we think would be needed in this region to continue that work. We do find, though, that an online platform and portal really will help streamline and professionalize that effort regionally. And we're talking about work that could take 18 months or more to do, to bring people together, to bring people to the table more, to start talking about this and getting everyone moving in the same direction. What we heard when we went out and did those presentations of the report after it was written, educational entities really appear committed to providing those opportunities for their students, and they're generally the ones leading the way in providing those opportunities for their students. And there really still is a very wide range of efforts from school district to school district, depending on what the board's priorities priorities are in a particular district, the size of the district. So that's what we found. On the other side, business and industry that we talked to is receptive to collaborating to provide these opportunities. We have really never had a no. In particular, the Pendleton Chamber of Commerce has expressed an interest in playing this role. That is something that we're really excited about, specifically for collaboration with the Pendleton School District. However, we did find that, kind of with some few exceptions, business and industry need to kind of be helped along to grow beyond just kind of traditional workforce kind of outreach efforts, posting a job opportunity here or sending out an email there, and kind of be helped to think of some more proactive ways of growing the region's future workforce. When we talk about next steps, and our client for this report was the IMESD CTE Consortium, we are hoping that they provide further leadership and staffing to help close kind of the work-based learning programming gap for the member districts in this region here, and kind of come up with a region-by-region replication model. And then we're hoping that program replication, rather than just saying this is what everybody's doing in the region here, kind of goes region by region, and its specific areas follow core partnership commitments as local chambers of commerce, industry groups, and government groups kind of refocus and prioritize this work on behalf of their members and constituents. So that's where we are now. And I just wanted to come around again and say thank you so much to the county for supporting this work, not just at the beginning, but all the way through, for inviting us to come and speak from time to time about our efforts. We love doing that. We love keeping you updated. And thanks to Susan for the leadership in this role here, too. I've really enjoyed my work, my boots on the ground work doing this. So thank you very much. Have a great morning.
And thank you, Christina and Susan, for this work. For those of you who are sitting here wondering about this report, it's a process. It's a program that is supported by Umatilla County. It's supported by Umatilla County because workforce is very important for our economic growth, and this leads to more people into the workforce. And so thank you very much, both of you. Thank you for the presentation. Are there any questions by the commissioners?
Just an added comment. Workforce is an issue like housing and various others, which are constantly identified as problems. And some folks think that simply identifying the problem is making a contribution. It's nice to add a solution, something that is a genuine solution to a problem, and I think this kind of work is actually a solution. So thank you for that.
Thank you for that. And it's supported by the county's Economic Development Committee, department. And I missed out earlier on one more thing that we wanted to recognize. I guess it's not recognition. It was a letter that was received by Umatilla County from Steve Chrisman, who's the Economic Development Director at City of Pendleton. And he said, I wanted to tell you about a really happy ending that occurred as a result of Umatilla County grant support. As you may recall, you awarded the Pendleton UAS range a $7,200 grant to hire an intern last summer. They hired the intern he was a young, rural, Northeast Oregon high school graduate. He says he's a really brilliant and outstanding young man. He had recently returned from Army National Guard boot camp and was looking for a job in the field of aviation. Thanks to your grant, he was able to spend considerable time assisting our range manager and our chief engineer as they helped various UAS companies operating on the range. One of those companies, PAE-ISR, was impressed and offered him an interview. Because of the high-quality mentoring time your grant had allowed him to spend together with us, he was hired, and he now holds a job earning $90,000 a year. That's the kind of jobs that we really want to see in Umatilla County and see the growth of in Umatilla County. And so between the help from economic development and these types of programs that you just heard about, we're hoping to build more people to be available for the jobs that come to Umatilla County. So thank you very much for the presentation today.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda is a public hearing. It's on the Edwards Road legalization. And the way this will work is we will first hear a staff report. and then we will have those who are speaking for it, followed by those who are speaking in opposition to it. And if there are those in opposition, then those for it have one more opportunity to proceed. We then recess the hearing and deliberate on the issue. So, staff report.
Good morning. Matt Kenny, Umatilla County Public Works Surveyor. In the, I'd say, early summer of 2018, we received some public comment from adjoining landowners along South Edwards Road corridor to virtually pursue the legalization process for the road. It's been well known for a long period of time that the road alignment has been a little bit out of whack from comparison to what's in the record. It's something that came up in the early 90s. There was actually a board order in, I think, 97 to have the road surveyed, and for whatever reason it just never came to fruition. And so with the comment from the adjoining landowners and the public works need to get this accomplished, we went ahead and proceeded with the survey in an effort to try to tidy this up once and for all. So I've prepared a short report. I'm just going to kind of go through the first few pages fairly quickly, and then we'll look at some of the attached documents and supporting documents that are including the survey for your review. So the Umatilla County Board of Commissioners issued an order in 1977 for South Edwards Road to be surveyed in anticipation of legalization. That's Order SV 9702. The Umatilla County Director of Public Works had determined the existing road, or a portion of the existing road, South Edwards Road, did not agree with the location of the road as traveled and used for 10 years or more. And that portion of road between East Harding and East Highland was assumed to have been constructed using a defective survey. That's the portion of the road that if you drive out there, you really notice it's got a severe bend in it, and it's supposed to be on a straight line, and it's just not. So the Public Works Department intends to legalize that portion of South Edwards Road as described in that board order. The survey has been completed, and all the necessary notifications have been made. A little history and use of South Edwards Road. The original road was petitioned for in 1906, and it was later ordered to be established county road and later in 1906 in September, officially opening the road for public use. That process met all the statutory requirements for legal establishment of a public road. The road was in use as a dirt and or gravel road from its opening in 1906 until the mid-1970s, at which time multiple chip seal layers were added. Historical imagery from 1952 clearly shows South Edwards Road as a dirt and or gravel road. The alignment of the road in 1952 aerial matches the alignment as exists today, verifying its long-term use and location. South Edwards Road currently receives around 1,300 vehicles per day and is easily within the top 20 county roads when considering average daily traffic volume. So why is a legalization needed? The record alignment of South Edwards Road as described in those 1906 establishment documents follows the north-south section lines in this area, where the center of the physical road deviates easterly from these section lines anywhere between 0 to 150 feet. Like I said, the bulk of this error is between East Harding Avenue and East Loop Road. This creates thousands of feet of road outside the record right-of-way location. The legalization will correct this, centering the right-of-way on the physical road location as intended. So impacts to utilities and property owners. The road legalization may have some impact to utility companies within or adjoining the right-of-way. Survey field ties to existing utility structures indicate that there may be some overhead power outside the proposed right-of-way. Much of the overhead power in this corridor is covered by additional easement. However, the utility company, UEC, has been notified of the potential issue and will be evaluating internally. All other permitted utility companies appear to be within the proposed right-of-way. It is ultimately the utility company's responsibility to verify this. All utility companies have been properly notified of the proposed legalization. The Public Works Department finds no adverse impacts to adjoining property owners at this time. Legalizing the road and its location as shown on the survey fits current improvements and fence lines well and keeps any improvements made by adjoining owners outside of the right-of-way. In some areas, easements are needed for adjoining owners to preserve access to public right-of-way. These easements are clearly shown on the road survey and have been recorded as required by the Public Works Department. A little further on that, so what happens when you have a public right-of-way deviate from a section line so far, which is the ownership line, is you're left with a gap, and it creates virtually a situation in which adjoining landowners on the west side of the road were landlocked. So we required that easements be provided for those landowners to reach the public right-of-way, which is South Edwards Road, to preserve their public access. And so that's all been done and recorded, which was a requirement by us before this would be considered. So at this point, the Public Works Department recommends that South Edwards Road be legalized between East Hardingen Avenue and East Loop Road at the location in which shown on the road survey. In addition to this, we've had 2 different comments. One was from the City of Stanfield. Blair Larson, City Manager for the City of Stanfield, he wrote me in an email and says as follows: the City of Stanfield will not have a representative at the public hearing regarding the legalization of South Edwards Road. However, we want to be on record that we support the legalization of the road. He then asked if I could send him some maps showing the discrepancies, which I did, and didn't hear any further comment from him. The second comment we received was from a property owner, Loyalta Inc., who's an adjoining property owner on the west side of the road, and this was sent from Sandy Burley, their treasurer. She says, I have researched the records of survey that you provided me. It appears that our property runs along South Edwards Road on the west side. If you could please submit this email for consideration and to address our concerns to the Umatilla County Board of Commissioners, that would be greatly appreciated. Our main concerns is that according to the legend, the proposed legalization right-of-way line would encroach into one of our circles that is currently being farmed with water rights. Loyalta Inc. does have concerns with proposed right-of-way line. We have been farming this section for many decades, and we want to make sure that we continue to do so under our right of adverse possession law, as it has been our understanding that our property line runs right up to the gravel/pavement area. Additionally, there is overhead power line that the proposed right-of-way line would occupy. The overhead lines are not noted or included in the survey, even though they are visibly present. How is the county dealing with those utility with regard to the post? I believe UEC has easements for those power lines. And that's the end of that email. I did email her back, hoping to address some of her concerns, and didn't get a response. But when it comes down to the right-of-way itself, the county doesn't actually own that right-of-way. It's treated more of as like an easement. So it's there for the use of public road and utility purposes, so long as that road exists. If it were to ever be vacated, those adjoining landowners would get their reversionary rights back, and they would get that property back. So I think the issue of adverse possession is kind of it's not correct for this situation. If it were a fee title, eminent domain or something like that, then I could understand maybe what she's trying to say there. But the location of the right-of-way as we show it limits the impact on the adjoining owners throughout the corridor, and that's why one of the reasons we chose the location we did, which centers it on the physical road location. The other comment towards the utility lines, we did map all utility lines in that corridor throughout the course of the survey, and we typically are only concerned about utilities that are not located within the right-of-way, as that's the purpose of the road right-of-way, is for public and private utilities to utilize. So when they're not inside the right-of-way, that's when we get a little bit nervous and wonder why, and we need to find out why. In this case, pretty much everything was contained within our proposed right-of-way. The ones that were not, we communicated that to UEC. There was some overhead outside of it, and they're working on taking care of that internally. And so that's pretty much it for the report. Further down towards the end of the presentation, there's a record of survey that shows, it kind of outlines the locations of the road in reference to some of the adjoining structures and landowners. It'll probably be at the very, very end of the document. There's a couple aerials too that show the location over time. Yep. Yeah, keep going up a little bit. It's almost there, a couple, 3 or 4 pages. There. So that's page 1 of the document. So that's gives you kind of an overview of the location. For those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's located just outside the city of Stanfield and goes from East Harding Avenue north to East Loop Road, and that's the portion we're proposing to legalize today. And it's kind of a lengthy document. It's over a 4-mile corridor, so requires quite a few pages. But as you scroll down through, you can see that the section line and the road center line are fairly well in conjunction with one another at the south end of the project. As we move north, these sheets, as we go down, we take ourselves further north. So at this point, we're kind of working our way up. There's Geist Road where the cemetery is, and the section line starts to deviate a little further at that point. And here you can see that the section line is completely outside the road right-of-way in this location. And as mentioned, there is the hatched areas that have the kind of vertical hatching in them are the locations of those access easements. And that's kind of consistent throughout the corridor. And that's the intersection of Feedville and Edwards. And as we move north, it just gets further and further away, up to about 150 feet. So the section line that's called out there would be the record right-of-way location for that road. And obviously the road, doesn't physically exist there, so it just makes common sense to correct this issue. And as we move further north, as we approach Highland Extension, they move back together, and the section line and right-of-way lines then converge, and the issue is pretty much resolved by the time you reach Loop Road. Nope, I don't think so. Unless the commissioners have any additional questions, I think that kind of wraps up what I had.
Question?
I'm interested in hearing. I think from my standpoint, I'd rather have more questions after I hear the public testimony.
I would have one question, however. Is there a plan, because of the establishment of the correct right-of-way, is there a plan to actually change the physical location of the road itself?
No, there is no plans to make any alterations to the road.
Okay.
I was kind of wanting to wait and hear what the
Okay.
testimony was going to say.
Then we thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
We will call for any of those speaking in favor of this change. In favor? Seeing none, those who would speak in opposition to this matter? Those who would speak in opposition? Seeing none, we would call then for any public agencies to speak relating to it. No public agencies? Then we will close the hearing and deliberate to a decision.
Could I make a point of interest?
Yes.
We don't normally get lots of visitors to our meetings, and I'm just kind of curious if our visitors are in favor or opposed to this action.
We're just curious.
Yeah. So, they could like raise their hand or something. It's kind of curious if where we are on this.
Kopax.
As long as my fiber optic lines stay where they're at, I'm for it.
Okay.
LS Networks, my name's Elton Irby. I'm a lineman for LS Networks, fiber optic.
Okay.
We saw a hand back there. Mr. Kopax.
Ray Kopax, Stanfield Irrigation District. I don't, I favor it. I guess it's no big deal as long as it's going to stay where it's at. My concern I had is where the bridges are going across. I was wondering if they were going to widen them or if they were going to change the location. If they're not going to change the location of the road, I guess then no big deal.
Okay.
Will it change the status of the road and increase the truck traffic?
Actually, could we have those who are asking questions? They should have done this at the beginning. Come to the microphone where you can actually be recorded. And say your name and address.
Pete Lilligard, and address is on South Edwards Road. Question is, will it change the status of the road and increase the semi-truck traffic?
No, we don't have, there are no plans for any development of any kind, so we don't see, other than the natural population increases in the area and traffic patterns. Outside of that,
Because technically, there's no through trucks allowed on the road
That's correct.
currently, but I was wondering, is it going to open it up and let everybody just start ripping down that
no,
road?
it's more of an administrative correction of the right-of-way, so nothing, virtually what we're trying to do is maintain what people have always used and keep the road where it is without, and administratively correct the right-of-way issue.
Gotcha. That was all I had.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
More? Okay, we are now closed for deliberation and questions of the commissioners.
Oh, you did a very good job explaining that to us, so thank you very much.
I move for the adoption of order RD 2019-02.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adopt order RD 2019-02. Any discussion, further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Order passes. Next item on the agenda are public road vacation petitions. And who's presenting on that? Okay.
Matt Kenny, Umatilla County Public Works Surveyor. So we've recently received 2 petitions from various owners over near the Hermiston area for public road vacations. The first was from Nancy Lynn Joins, a resident in Hermiston, just north of East Highland. And she owns property that has some public right-of-way on the west and south sides. She has future plans to possibly do some kind of a housing development, and she would like to vacate the portions of public right-of-way that exist on her parcel and adjoining it. And there's at the very end of this petition, there's a little exhibit highlighting the actual right-of-way locations. The 20-foot easement you see on the south side of the page. Oh, that's perfect. And the 30-foot easement you see on the east side of the page are both the easements that encompass her property. She actually dedicated these easements via partition plat. I believe it was in the 90s. It was 94. And it never actually was signed off on by the commissioners, so it's one of those, it was a dedication for a public road, but it was never accepted by the public body. So the status of those may be a little bit in question to begin with, but with her goal to vacate them, I don't see it being an issue. So at this point, she's just hoping to get rid of them for her future development, and I have contacted the city of Stanfield planner Clint Spencer to reach out for comment from him, but that will be discussed at a later meeting. The other vacation petition was from Medella's Trucking LLC. This one is located near the intersection of Westland Road and Livestock Road.
That's on a separate item.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we need to deal with it?
Let's deal with them one at a time here.
Okay.
So, are there any questions on this? Have all the neighbors have been notified? Everyone in the adjoining area within a certain range?
They will be at a later date. Right now, it's just more of this is in front of you for review, and if accepted, then we'll go into the notification process, set a hearing date if needed. This particular one, the petition was signed by 3 of the 4 owners, so it will require a public hearing.
I see. It's just a referral to the...
Yeah. Under the statutory, the process, the first step is that the Board of Commissioners receives the petition to vacate, and then the next step they want to proceed with it would refer it to staff for a report.
So nothing final in this one.
And then if the staff report recommends vacation, then it comes before the board for a formal public hearing.
So do we have
notice.
to take action to receive it?
No, just basically accept it and refer it to the Public Works Department for a report.
How do we accept it?
You can just, the language on the pinky.
We can just move to refer it to the department for...
Review petition referred to the department for report.
Yep.
So is that a motion?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
And seconded? And seconded. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Same to do with the public road vacation petition on Westland and Livestock.
Yeah, so this is the same situation. It was from Medella's Trucking LLC. This was a platted public road from a partition plat similar to the other. The Medella's LLC owns both parcels on each side of the road, and they're proposing to vacate it, so it's got 100% approval. Again, petition meets all the requirements, and payments have been received, so we'll refer it to the board.
Same issue, a review and a referral.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Those in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a purchase of a asphalt roller. Mr. Fellows.
When does John get his name on here?
It's been ordered.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Fellows, Public Works Director. I'm here today to request permission to purchase a used asphalt roller from Honan Equipment to the tune of $34,125. This is a roller that has been on our equipment replacement list for some time. These are some of those pieces that don't come around very often in the used market, and therefore we, in fact, this one I think has been on our equipment replacement list for 3 or 4 cycles now. And this is a pretty nice machine. It'll replace a roller that we're currently have in Milton Freewater. It's a 1994 high pack. A much larger machine that really doesn't serve our needs very well. It actually, we almost can't use it on the majority of our paving operations because it's too heavy. So
Too big.
It will tear up asphalt pretty handily if you're not careful.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded to authorize the purchase. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank
Tom.
you very much, gentlemen.
Next item is the weed control products for purchase, the annual supply.
Teddy Orr, Umatilla County Weed Department. In December, I sent out RFPs for our annual chemical supplier for the year. I received 3 bids, one from Helena at $18,695, one from Nutrien Ag Solutions, which is $18,492, and one from Wilbur Ellis at $19,165. Kind of a little background is when I receive the RFPs, I go through and make sure all the packaging is similar in size between the bidders. Then I take their numbers and adjust them so all packaging is the same. Some supply quarts, some supply gallons. That could skew a bid. So I make sure all the packaging is similar, and those are the numbers I've come up with. And I'm recommending that we go with Nutrien Ag Solutions at $18,492 for our annual products.
So moved.
Second?
Price about the same
They're very similar.
to this last year? I mean, price up, down?
There's some products do go up from year to year. They're proprietary products, so Milestone, Esplanade. The suppliers don't have a choice in those numbers, and they do escalate up every year a little bit. Some stay the same, but it's a minimal change, but inflation hits us all.
You were able to anticipate in your budget?
Yep.
Okay.
So.
Been moved and seconded to approve the purchase. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Purchase of a UTV and trailer. We're going to have our Emergency Management Department Director, Tom Robert, explain what a UTV.
Good morning, Commissioners. Tom Roberts, Umatilla County Emergency Manager. As I was condemned earlier,
you might be again.
There might be again. One of the items that was brought up during that commendation was the grant for $48,838 for the purchase of a mass casualty incident response unit. Essentially what it is it is a ATV, UTV, and by UTV it's a utility style with a bed in the back that would have a patient transport skid placed in the back of it. After a couple of cycles in attempting to get State Homeland Security grant funds, we were finally awarded for the procurement of one unit. The total grant amount was $48,000, and I apologize, I think we got that number wrong to Doug. $48,838, not $383. $48,838 through Oregon Office of Emergency Management for the procurement of this using those funds. 2 years ago, $48,838 would have covered all costs. At this point in time, what it will cover is the purchase of the ATV UTV unit along with a skid and a trailer to transport them and deploy the unit out with, as best as we can tell. So we are requesting from the Board of Commissioners today to put out a request for proposal so we can accept bids for the procurement of this unit along with the trailer as a package deal, and hopefully return with those bids at some point in time to determine which unit we're going to procure.
Any questions?
No.
The requested action is to authorize the issuance of an invitation for bids for the purchase of a UTV and trailer. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you, Commissioners.
A copier purchase for the juvenile department.
Didn't even see her here.
I didn't see Digna either.
Good morning. We are asking, or the juvenile division is asking for...
Digna, could you introduce yourself
Oh, sorry.
for the record?
Digna Moreno with the juvenile department for Umatilla County. And we're here to ask the board to approve our request to purchase a copy machine. And it's a machine that does copying and faxing and scanning. Currently, we are on an expired lease agreement with a local vendor that's costing us about $4,000 a year. The purchase of a new machine would be of, I believe, like $8,000 or so. I did put in for two bids. The difference in pricing was about $1,600 for the initial purchase, but there is some differences as far as the cost for the black and white printer and the color printing, and also the maintenance piece of it. We have a vendor that's from Tri-Cities that would be here within 24 hours versus the other vendor is who's out of town and they don't have anybody locally. So that has been causing some issues with our department lately. Our machine has been breaking down and we've had to wait sometimes up to 3 months for them to come out and fix their machine. So we've had to use our neighbor's machine to make copies. As the board may know, we do a lot of discovery for other, Intermountain Public Defenders as well as Blue Mountain Defenders. We do a lot of paperwork for the courts. So our paperwork is all legal documents and it has to be clear and in a professional manner. So that has been causing a barrier for us to be able to be effective and efficient in our work. So at this time we're asking that the board approve our request for purchase. I did send an email out to Robert Paul, our Chief Financial Officer, and he has approved for this purchase.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded that purchase of a new copier from Canon for the amount of $8,774 be authorized. Further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, Digna.
Thank you.
Next item on our agenda are public hearings for supplemental budgets.
This is where the two new items were added. So the next one up is the grant payable.
Very good.
And basically, these are coming before the board. They were approved by the grant committee, and this one, since it exceeds $5,000, is before the board for approval.
Would we like to have comments from our Economic Development Coordinator
Oh, how exciting.
to present these?
I can present them, sure. I'm Gail Nelson, Economic Development for Umatilla County. The grant committee met the very beginning of January for the fourth quarter of 2018 cycle of grants, and these are the grants that came through that the committee has approved, but they're over the $5,000 mark, and so we're looking for board approval on them. Delish Bistro out of Hermiston, a restaurant that's been in business 3 years. They are looking to expand and move their business. They're in a tiny little location. They're moving hopefully into the old Stetsons or Stets, whatever the name of the steakhouse was. So they'll have better viewage. People can see them from the highway. Their current location is kind of hard to find, but word of mouth, fabulous food. They're doing really well. People are finding them, but they're taking on a large expansion into a new building. So the grant committee has approved $10,000 for them to specifically go to purchasing new equipment for them for their restaurant space. So
very good. Any questions?
Looking for approval.
Kind of related question. Yesterday or the day before, we got a kind of an annual report or something from Business Oregon that talked about, I don't know if you saw that, talked about what they've done across the state and the impact they've had in helping small businesses get started. Did you see that?
I didn't. Sorry.
I've not either.
Oh, why they sent it to me. Anyway, it was really interesting.
If you could forward it along, I'd appreciate it.
I'll find it. But it was really interesting, and it talked about what the impact they were making statewide. I was wondering, well, once you see it, it'll make more sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it would be interesting now that you've been doing this kind of work for several years to maybe see something like that for Umatilla County and
Sure.
a more personal impact than something that happened in Jacksonville or
Right.
somewhere.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, so my 1-year anniversary is coming up February 1st.
I shall locate it.
So I will get busy on creating a report for you.
It
Yes.
would be timely, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would.
So is there a motion to approve?
Also move.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the grant of $10,000 to Delish Bistro. Further discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. And there's another.
I just sent that email to you, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
It's done.
The other grants were 5,000 were
Yeah.
approved by the CFO.
Small business
Oh,
development.
perfect.
About those. Right.
Yeah, okay. Good, I could have spent 2 days finding it.
Yesterday at about 1 o'clock.
That's why.
And the next one is also a payable coming before the board because of the amount. It comes from the jail, and it's for replacement of the sewage grinder.
Okay.
Need a motion, so move.
Second.
Is there any other presentation?
I'm not aware it was referred from finance.
All right.
I could certainly speak to it if needed.
It's a sewage grinder. I don't know
Sewage
how much
grinder,
detail we need
do
to
we
get
want to go
into.
there?
Our existing grinder went out, so we're trying to replace that. This grinder, it's unbelievable what inmates will put
Yes.
on the commode. And so this will help grind it, get it out of the building and on its way. Otherwise, we stand the chance of flooding the entire facility.
Flooding it up.
Well, far be it from us to obstruct anything of that nature.
So the
Reiterate my motion.
motion is to approve the purchase of the device for $13,319.99. Is there a second?
Oh, I seconded.
Seconded. Moved and seconded. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now we can go to our supplemental budgets, I believe, in a public hearing.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Paul, CFO. We have 4 supplemental budgets to consider, and
I guess first I should convene the hearing. Proceed. Staff report.
There's 4 supplemental budgets before you today. Budget Order 2019-42 from Human Services, their SC 63 peer program requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in their beginning cash of $185,552, an increase in personnel services of $51,400, and an increase in the contingency of $134,152. Next, Budget Order 2019-43, also Human Services, their SE 66 treatment program, requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in their beginning cash of $198,731, an increase in materials and services of $200, and an increase in contingency of $198,531. Next, Budget Order 2019-44, Human Services School-Based Mental Health Program, requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in state revenue of $700,000, an increase in personnel services of $320,005, an increase in materials and services of $74,450, and an increase in contingency of $305,545. And finally, supplemental budget 2019-45, Human Services Mental Health Administration, requires a supplemental budget to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of the budget. This requires an increase in state revenue of $105,146, an increase in federal revenue of $200,000, and an increase in materials of $305,146.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Thank you. Or is there anyone wishing to speak for these budget orders? In opposition? We'll close the hearing then, deliberate. Do we have motions?
I'll make those since I have them. I move the adoption of order number 2019-42.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adopt Budget Order 2019-42. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes.
Move for the adoption of budget order 2019-43.
Second.
Any discussion, further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Move for the adoption of budget order 2019-44.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adopt Budget Order 2019-44. Further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
Move for the adoption of order number 219-45.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adopt Budget Order 2019-45. Discussion? Those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
I did those because the commissioner sitting at the right hand of legal counsel has traditionally done that.
So
I didn't say God, I said legal counsel.
was there also a 46?
Yeah, that'll be coming up next.
That's the next item on the agenda.
Okay.
Is a budget transfer.
So, Commissioners, we also require a budget transfer. That's Budget Order 2019-46, General Fund Sam Cook Building Hermiston. Requires a transfer of appropriations to appropriate funding not known at the adoption of budget. This requires an increase in materials and services and a decrease in contingency of $6,000.
Make a motion to adopt budget order 2019-46.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded to adopt Budget Order 2019-46, Sam Cook Building. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item. Thank you, Robert.
Question. Kathy, are you staying till the end? Okay, I have just a quick question afterwards I just want to ask. Okay.
The on-call employment matter.
This is coming before the board to approve the employment of the on-call. If you want any details, we can go into an executive session if you want.
Is that the one we saw yesterday?
Yeah, that's the one that, yes, it was sent.
I thought we postponed that because it hadn't gone to,
It was approved by HR.
was it? Okay, and I approved it.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve the on-call employment. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. The Walla Walla Basin Watershed Council appointments.
This matter is before the board for approval for 4 new positions on the Walla Walla Basin Watershed Council.
I was actually at that meeting where they appointed them. So I would make a motion to adopt Order BC 2019-004.
Second?
Moved and seconded to approve the appointments of Catherine Clifton, Birch Coe, and Kevin Schreibner to the board of the Walla Walla Basin Watershed Council. Further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion. Those opposed? Motion carries. And that concludes, I believe, our agenda. We go to then next to Commissioner reports. Any Commissioner reports today?
Nope.
No.
I would just remind everyone that the Fair Appreciation Banquet is this Saturday night at 5. And this afternoon, the Economic Development Committee meets to discuss. There are a couple of incoming projects that we hope may land in Umatilla County, and we're there to assist in that. And we also will be discussing the Umatilla River Trail, the STIF funding, and development on the North Highway, along with tourism issues. So
You might be interested to know I'm meeting at 2 o'clock with a variety of folks, the DA, legal counsel, the maintenance director, the administrative services director, and myself, to discuss both progress and setbacks on the 3rd floor.
great.
So
Hopefully you'll be able to share some of that progress or additional need with us. Anything further?
None.
Then we will stand adjourned.